So I would like to start off by thanking the organizers for this conference and for allowing me to present remotely. So our project is entitled Psychophysiological Correlates and Clinical Implications of Body-Related Self-Disgust. So disgust is a universal emotion with evolutionary, adaptive, and protective functions against potential threats. This includes dangerous situations, pathogens, which lead to instinct avoidance and rejection responses. Disgust is not a unitary or singular emotions, rather it is made out of many facets, and this includes physical, moral, pathogen, core animal remainder, contamination, and self-disgust. Of particular importance for us is the body-related self-disgust, which is a facet of disgust that is experienced and directed towards the self. And it has been closely linked to the onset, maintenance, and relapse of many clinical conditions, in particular the eating disorders. So looking at the literature, there is a gap whereby much of our knowledge emerges from self-report measures, and this is mainly from self-disgust scale. So there is a lack of research using objective measures, and therefore the behavioral and physiological markers of body-related self-disgust have not been explored, and they are not well understood. There are several reasons to why research remains to be limited. Firstly, it's challenging to implement an ethical and effective method to induce body-related self-disgust. And then secondly, it is primarily explored in clinical populations suffering from eating disorders. So to account for this gap in the literature, we aim to characterize the role of body-related self-disgust in healthy individuals and individuals with nutrition-related disorders, measured in subjective and objective levels. We aim to induce BRSD through the embodiment of different size avatars, and these will be underweight, normal weight, and obese. Moving on to the methods that we've used, this is our experimental timeline. Participants are asked to complete a set of questionnaires. During our experimental session, here we have a body-related self-disgust session and a non-body-related self-disgust session, which acts as our control. During both, we acquire recordings from an electrocardiography as well as electrogastography. We also administer an interceptive measure known as the heartbeat counting task. So looking more closely at our body-related self-disgust session, it uses the embodiment illusion whereby participants perceive a virtual body as their own, which leads to an experience of ownership, agency, and leads to it leads to specific responses and behavior within the virtual reality. So here is what our body-related self-disgust session looks like. Participants come in the lab, they take the position of the avatar that is seen here, they wear a virtual reality headset, and then we start with an embodiment induction, whereby we have an 8-minute synchronous visual-tactile stimulation. During this session, we acquire the ECG and the EGG recordings, and we also administer visual analog scales to acquire different constructs, such as the embodiment, emotional experience, and the visceral sensations. This is just to show you better the different avatars and their corresponding BMIs that we use. And this is to give you a better example of the synchronous visual tactile stimulation which participants receive to lead to the embodiment of these different avatars. Okay, moving on to our non-body-related self-disgust session. Participants find themselves in a virtual cinema, and they are presented with 2 blocks of video clips, one of disgusting nature and the other one is neutral. Again, similar to our previous session, we acquired the same type of data, ECG, EGG, and visual analog scales. And this is just to show you what participants perceive during the session. Okay. Moving on to our results. So our results come from a healthy female sample, 39 individuals. From our embodiment session, where we induced body-related self-disgust, we show that the underweight, shown in blue, and the obese avatars were embodied less compared to the normal weight. And this makes sense because the normal weight avatar leads to higher levels of ownership, as the body is more similar to the participant's own body. Moving on, we were able to induce body-related self-disgust through the embodiment of the underweight and overweight and the obese avatars. And we can see here that body-related self-disgust is most pronounced during the obese body. We also show that the underweight and the obese avatars were perceived more negatively compared to the normal weight avatar. So they lead to more negative emotions. And so this is seen with sadness, discomfort, and guilt, but this is specific to the obese avatar. Okay, looking at our physiological data, although these results are not significant, the obese avatar does lead to an increased trend in heart rate variability. And interestingly, this is reflected and is significant in our control session, where participants are observing disgusting video clips. Okay, here are some interesting correlations that we found. There was a positive correlation between gastric sensations and body-related self-disgust during the embodiment of the underweight and the obese avatars. So the more the participants had a feeling of body-related self-disgust, the more they perceived changes in their gastric sensation. Moreover, there was also a positive correlation between heart rate variability and body-related self-disgust, and this seems to be true only for the underweight avatar. So to summarize, our findings are congruent with Provenzano and colleagues in Preston and Eherson. The embodiment of underweight and obese avatars seem to trigger a series of negative emotions. Our preliminary findings suggest that the embodying an underweight or obese avatar trigger body-related self-disgust and gastric sensations, which are associated with autonomic changes. And to conclude and to look at the potential implications of characterizing the psychophysiological correlates of body-related self-disgust can provide insight into its underlying mechanisms. It can provide support for body-related self-disgust as a potential transdiagnostic marker for eating disorder psychopathology. And finally, it can help in the development of novel and targeted interventions. And with that, I would like to thank you all for your attention, and in particular, the following people who have given me continuous help and guidance.